Video, there we go, and some microphone, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Does that look there? Good. Good morning. All right. All right, we all want to take a seat and we'll go ahead and get started. If you work in church, maybe.
Exactly. Guys, get your last plate. Feel free to go back. No rush, and we'll start in a few minutes. Okay?
Yeah. I'm like, here you go, Mike.
You don't want to bring anything, did you?
The 23rd of June. I'm gonna put you down, and you give us another information to it.
We're ready.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Harry, and we're going to introduce this morning a very exciting speaker. Okay, Susan Lieber is going to be here this morning, giving us a new format on strategic planning for a business plan and how to get a business off the ground within 2 years.
No, this is the strategic plan.
Gotcha. Okay, but we're gonna open with a moment of prayer if we may, please. Lord, I just thank you that we're allowed to meet this morning, this beautiful church. We're grateful that you have provided us the freedom to come here as business owners and entrepreneurs and share our ideas to change our country and the world for the better. I just ask this morning that you anoint Susan with the kind of knowledge that she has worked very hard on and is going to bless us as a conduit from you to us in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Susan Lieber.
All right.
So I don't know how you guys got up this morning or what was going on, but when I woke up this morning, I received this picture. This is not a Photoshop. This is my daughter in Central Park running a 5K this morning in New York.
Yay!
Yeah, way to go, Cindy, right? So I received that and I thought, this is perfect for my conversation this morning. It's like the perfect photo, Sid. Thanks, honey. So she's running a 5K and obviously there's a course, right? You show up, you got your tag on, your number, and you know exactly what where you're gonna run and where the course starts and where it's gonna end, okay? So this morning, we're gonna talk a little bit about how to put together a strategic business plan. And this dates me, but who remembers Zig Ziglar? Anybody? Okay, all right. So Zig Ziglar, this is his quote. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. Okay, so this is what we don't want to do. We want to have a plan. We want to have a course. We want to have something we're moving towards. In putting together strategic plans, usually it's a very collaborative process. Has anybody ever been through this? For your own business? Yep, okay. For an organization and a nonprofit. Very interesting. You get all the shareholders, stakeholders in the same room, and then you start. And what you get usually is not what you thought you would when you started. Very, very different. But what you end up with is a plan or a course. And it can save you money. It can save you from going bankrupt. It can open new opportunities. I mean, it is endless. Very, a process that I'm a big fan of. So this is what we're going to talk about. Developing your strategic plan versus your mission statement. And then I've got this down to what I call strategic planning 101, okay? What's over here? What's right? What's right? Put down what's right. Over here, what's wrong? Usually we know what's wrong. Usually that's what keeps us up at night, right? We know what's wrong. And the hardest one, I think, is in the middle. What's confused? And confused is really different from what's wrong. And confused is the hardest thing usually to solve for a company, for a business, for an organization. So, your mission statement. Who are you? Why are you in business? What do you do? Why do you do it? Okay. Does anybody know Skyline's mission statement? Anybody? Somebody?
Right.
It's up on that wall. You see it every time you walk into the church. Define and follow. Come on, help me. No, nobody's paying attention.
No.
Carlos, do you know it?
Yes, I do. I just don't like to show off.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes! Yes!
Hey, go ahead and indulge us. All right, find and follow Buddha. That's it, right? I get it right? Find and follow Buddha?
No, find and follow Christ.
Find and follow Jesus, right? 24/7, right? That's what. So they want us to know the Lord, and then they want us to grow, right? Okay. So here's an example. So this is a prospective client I met with last week. About an hour phone call. They're a CSO or a contract sales organization. They're in this area. They're in the Bay in the North County. So they provide high quality field sales talent to both pharmaceutical and medical devices industries. That's what they do. And they do it to fill gaps in employment caused by, might be a new product launch. So you have a team here that's going to go over there and launch this product. You need people to come in and do what they do usually for that 3-4 week period of time. Or it could be somebody's on maternity leave, paternity leave, that somebody left and you've got an empty spot. You need to fill the ASAP for your company until you can hire some people full time. That's what these people do. So they're very clear. We had the call about who they are, what they do, why they do it, where they fit in the market. So here's my strategic planning 101. What's right, what's wrong, what's confused. And the point here is that sometimes we do this in a lot of parts of our lives. I know I do. We make it too complicated. We just make it too dang complicated. And I think here, the reason I did this is because I think from the strategic planning sessions that I've led for companies, the ones I've attended for other companies, I've found that when it all comes down at the end of the day, it's what's right, what's wrong, and what's confused. And if you can get it to that point and address it, then what's wrong, obviously, you want to fix it. Yeah, Harry.
So can you give us an example of what gets complicated with a typical business startup trying to get it off the ground?
Trying to get it off the ground. I have a couple of examples I was going to talk about. Well, there's a lot. I mean, if you were a startup, okay, what's wrong? Could be you don't have the finance. That's very typical. That's very typical. So then you got to fix that. So then you've got to go see Carlos and talk about how do I get a loan? How do I get investors? How do I fix the financial problem? That would be a very common one, I would think, for a startup. The other thing may be, and I have seen this, where a startup company doesn't do the mission statement. They don't know, they don't have who are we, what are we doing, and why are we doing it? And it may be that who are we is we're trying to do too many things back to being complicated. And instead of focusing just on 1 or 2 things you do well, you can dilute your business. And I've seen this happen. People will have, for example, let's say they have 2 really good brands that they sell the product, but they want more. So they have a couple of other brands and they've got 2 winners and they go and develop 5 more. And these two are top sellers. They're producing all the revenue. These 5 are not producing, let's say, 30% of the revenue that these are. They're not producing. But you've got people working on them all the time, putting money into them. So now you're diluting your business. These are winning for you. Why don't you stick with what you have? I've seen that happen a lot. Yeah, and then you have to let people go because, you know, you can't make the payroll. And it kind of unfolds from there. Yeah. Good question. So here's this company I met with, who obviously is a prospective client. I'm not gonna tell you who it is, but you know it's a CSO and it's in North County. So here's what I gleaned from the conversation that they do well. Good talent base. They have no problem getting people. The people are there. They're ready to go to work. The infrastructure is good. The management, I was impressed with their management. Sorry. And they have good processes to provide this talent, and they do it nationally. They're not just here. They're in the hotbed of Boston tech companies. They're in different areas across the United States. So these are all things that could put that green check mark. These are their good column.
So come.
He would. So you talk, when it comes to like CPAs and stuff in finance, because you talked a little bit about finance. But those companies that can't afford, like ours currently, where could we look for are there organizations out there or like state programs that offer CPAs, on a volunteer basis? What's your thought?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I would like something like Craig Craig, you might be able to address that. You probably do some pro bono work in law. Do accountants do the same thing?
You're asking a very good question. I used to do, I don't do it, I have too many projects, but I used to running like a vet clinic once a month for all questions, but for very specific population base. You'd have to go to the county bar. They have, the county bar would actually have a pro bono work.
There you go. That might be a place to look.
You said county bar?
Well, that's for law, but for CPAs, you can do the same thing. You could go to their group and see, because I see more of a push, especially in the medical community, of a lot of physicians, different types of doctors, that they'll spend 3 or 4 weeks a year and they go overseas on some kind of a missions trip to help other people in other countries. I have an oral surgeon that does that. I have a dentist that does that. Yeah.
For accounting services, I believe there's a few apps are downloaded for free. One of them is called Wave app.
Okay.
They can do accounting for you. You just input stuff and it just automatically does it. There's a few of them out
Okay, you might try that then. That would be a good.
What is it? Wave?
It's called Wave.
Yeah, Wave. Wave. Yeah, good.
Okay, so this is what this company has as a good call. These are a lot of good solid things they do right. That's why they're in business and doing well. So what's wrong? Here are the hot spots. This is why they called me. This is why we had the conversation. They don't have enough placements for the talent base. Their competitors are eating their lunch is what's happening, basically. Competitors are getting the calls, and the competitors also evidently are pricing low.
Oh.
So that's a deal. And then they do not have brand awareness. People don't know who they are. They're not well known. So when you have that need, those are pain points. You have somebody's gone or somebody's going to launch, and immediately you need to hire somebody right away, short term. You have to have your go-to people if you're in that business. And so the people they know, the brand they know, they're going to call. So that's where I come in to help them probably. And then the sales team looks weak. It looks like they don't have enough people. They don't have people doing the right things. They're not using the right tools. So we were able to identify some of those things about what's wrong. And then here's examples of what's confused for them. They have an email marketing campaign, don't have any bounce backs, but nobody's responding. They're not getting any business through that. What are their competitors doing? They're not doing, they don't know. definitely need to do a competitive study of their competitors and find out what they are doing. Sales team again doesn't seem adequate. How do they address their geographic target markets? They're all over the US. You can't take the dartboard out and just go to a couple. You got to decide back to the 2 over here that are very strong brands and 5 others, what we call other brands. Drop the other brands, go for the strong markets. Focus there, get your business going there first, then expand. But start with ones that are going to get you, the revenue that they're wanting to get where it's weak. And then how can they create brand awareness? And that's a monster. That's about that's a right Anton, that's a monster. That's a lot. There's a lot to creating brand awareness, and you have to very carefully decide what your budget is and where you're going to spend it. So I have a couple of examples I was going to give you. So this is a nightmare I lived with the company about what was wrong. So this was a software developer and publisher, and everything was going great on Amazon. And then all of a sudden, the guy that our team usually called and said, "Hey, Josh, we think you need to bring in X amount of, 1,000 more inventory on this product and on this product, into from our distributor." All of a sudden, Josh didn't answer his phone anymore, and he wasn't at his email, and there was no way to contact him. And the products were sitting out there, not available, not available, not available, no inventory.
Oh, man.
I mean, you're talking about, and these were our best brands, our very best brands. And what happened, this is from 2019 of March. I can remember working out at 24 Fitness right up the street here by Dixieland. Out, ready to go in the gym and sitting on the phone with this, trying to find Josh, talking to the CEO of this company, talking to some person on our team. And I don't think I ever made it in the gym. I think it was about an hour and 15 minutes and my time window was done and I had got my car and went home. It was just a mess. But the question was, this became now not just what's wrong, but what's confused. This thing is really wrong. We don't know why it's wrong. We need to fix it. How do we fix it? There just seemed to be no one we could reach out to. No one could solve our problem. The vendor manager couldn't solve our problem. In Seattle for Amazon, nobody could solve the problem. And then what happened is the headline came out. I think the first one published probably, I'm going to say the Post or the Times. Amazon cuts out every distributor. Everybody that sells on Amazon now has to ship straight into an Amazon warehouse where we've seen them build that incredible, infrastructure. So they were quietly building all of these things all over the United States and waiting for that day when they had the infrastructure to say, middleman out, we're going to take that 8 to 12% ourselves, you're cut. So
you were the middle, like you were the coordinating.
no, we were the developer and publisher. The middleman, they all went bankrupt. And which took down a lot of other people. So it was that whole effect. It was a big pool. But the thing is, and the point is here, there are red flags can be in any business. California state laws could come and just really mess you up. Federal new laws, I mean, we're living in such a tumultuous time right now. So watching for the red flags for your own business is a big deal because you got to pay attention. If you see that go up, you got to hustle, investigate, do your due diligence.
So 2 questions. Back to the previous stage on targeting markets. Would you recommend just hiring somebody that does nothing but market research, and targeting where your demographics are and what they're buying, what they're using, everything that or can that just be done on a laptop now? Do we have to hire somebody to do that?
It's a good question. You can do a lot using your laptop, using just different search engines, different keywords you can use. You can look around a lot. You can use, we have LinkedIn where you can find people you can connect with. We have a lot of resources. So I think if you're a small company or a startup, I'd start yourself. I would start by using the resources in front of you. And once you uncover one resource, you'll uncover another. Anton,
So this is oddly nothing evidently to what we do in digital marketing. So developing that like target audience, like specifics, like who they are, where they at, how do you get in touch with them? When you're looking to try to figure out those answers, great opportunity to tap into some AI. You know, hit up Gemini, hit up ChatGPT, probably Gemini more so than ChatGPT or something like that. And you ask, say, hey, this is my company, this is what we do, try to identify our target audience, where can we start, you know, going after these guys organically, through social media, whatever it means, and like let the technology that currently is available to the public for free help you figure that out. Because you would be surprised about that kind of information, and then it can help develop, you know, avatars and the perfect persona, identify the buyer journey, things like that. If you have specifics and data points, you give it that will help, but it will do that work for you. I'm not saying it's better than a person who's doing this as a career and that kind of thing. No, there's specialists out there that would have really good life experience to bring to the table to combine with all that data. But like, that's one of those things where, yeah, there's a ChatGPT prompt for that.
You mean, here, what I'm hearing you say is, for marketing, you could actually go to ChatGPT, some AI, and actually give them the parameters, and they can actually come up with a marketing strategy.
Yes, because it's what it really boils down to is
That's theory.
Here's the thing, like, just because you have that information now, that doesn't mean you can go and execute.
Wait a minute, you put in parameters on a chat, AI GPT, and they will come out with a marketing campaign telling you, I assume, the breakdown, like, hey, TikTok, video, whatever. They're gonna give you a marketing campaign from the AI.
You can, if you tell it to do that. And again, remember, it responds to what you're asking it, it learns over time. You want it, and this goes back to some of the I got it. I'm not trying to study about this, but this is, yes, this goes very well with some of the Rice and Machine presentations I've done. AI itself is as good as a tool, right? It's as good as the user. If you know how to prompt it appropriately, it will give you gold.
You know, it's funny what you're saying. It's so powerful, it's so simple, and the beauty is in the simplicity. This is the steps you need to do, and people are confused. Good point. You know, because I run a business, people are confused. Like, what is your mission statement? Sit down and tell me what you mean. Tell me in the elevator speech. So what you're saying is, you know, it's like you say, it's obvious, no, but it ain't obvious. It's like common sense. No, it's not common. There's no common sense. So it's very interesting.
we've lost a lot of our common sense. Carlos,
You know what I found out with wrong with business is, you could have 10, 20 employees, the boss, CEO. If he believes he knows everything, there's the problem.
well, bingo. So I'll share with you some, this is before AI. When we would do some strategic planning sessions, you get everybody in the room. So let's say you've got, I remember one small bank we did, there were like 25 people. And you set the ground rules when you start. If Craig is speaking, we're all listening. There's no side conversations, there's no distractions. You give everyone the courtesy of being heard. Okay, so that's the start. Then that comes in with the CEO. And this particular one I vividly remember because Doug was so aggressive. And you know, you have his front admin people in there. You have everybody that works for him, obviously, he's head of the bank. And he would be obnoxious. Someone would start to speak and Doug, I mean, you just have to have a facilitator that just, but the things that he learned from them at the end of the session, he was astounded. He did not expect to learn. He did not expect to close this and open these up and learn. And it was great. We came up with some great things for them going forward that, you know, help their business to grow and position themselves. But that's a big deal. Yeah.
I wanted to share. It's funny you say that, and I tell my group, the group is smarter than the individual.
Ooh,
And it's very interesting,
that's good.
if I may just steal it. I took a master's program where I learned nothing. It's the USC, paid a lot of bucks for it. Hold on. It's a true, but I took one course. It was on, it was on strategic thinking. And they have these plans where you're at sea, you have 100 items and you have to pick 10 items. You can only take 10 out of 100. And so I said, well, shit, you know, hey, my IQ's high, I'm gonna win. No, I got a 70. I'm doing. I said, okay, Ken, I gotta get the ego off. Then we did it with 3. Then we did it with 5. It's very interesting. We had, at the end of the day, we had a helicopter pilot. He says, and I said, well, why did we get to do so well? He says, because everything on that list is in my mesh flak jacket. They have thought through this. And if I land on a deserted island, everything that's on that list is, you know, it's actually in my mesh jacket. I said, well, now the point I'm trying to say is somebody knows something you don't know. I swear to you, the group is smarter than the individual. Somebody pointed this out, way back when I was going to school, I won't mention what school. The colonel was saying, look, the point man may know something you don't know. The RTO, because of his position, may know something that the commander does. The commander doesn't know anything, he's got to avoid. That point man is there, he sees. The RTO is actually the communication, positional information. Very interesting. Now, the group, if you're humble, and so one of the things we do is we have an admin meeting, and the receptionist came up with a better plan. Said, hey, she says, here's what, you know, we have new mail. How do we distribute it? I have to tell you, just listen. That gal made a change and everybody's happy. You know, it's obvious. It ain't so obvious.
So, with clients was this. A couple of people in here I know this would apply to you. I would say, call your office as just an anonymous person, or have somebody you trust, you know, that they don't know, your son, your girlfriend, somebody. Have them call, say, how are they treated when they answer the phone?
Right, receptionist.
How if it's in your office, how they treat patients? Will they give them an appointment right away, or are they rude, or because oftentimes you think everything's great, and then you get the report back on how they were treated, and think, oh my gosh, I've got Attila the Hun answering the phone, and I didn't know it. She seemed so sweet to me. So anyway, here.
Sue, sorry, fast forward again, didn't mean to sidetrack anybody.
We enjoyed it, it's fine.
For me it is anyway, so. Getting back to Josh, sounds like Josh stepped into a manhole, okay, he's gone now, okay? Did Josh become indispensable? And if he did, how do we see any warning signs of that? When somebody in the ladder becomes a little too indispensable and the big house of cards is teetering.
Yes, so that's a great one. So you saw my New York daughter. So my oldest daughter lives in Florida, Tallahassee. And in her town, she's involved in city council, all the things going on in local government. And Amazon came in and built a big warehouse there. It's huge. And she knows the guy that did the deal, and she's got all this inside information. And she said, Mom, here's what they're doing. They built it in a place, there's no restaurants, there's no bus line, there's no transportation to the area where this warehouse is. And so they bring in all these workers, and the reason is they're not gonna need them because they're so automated. Robots are basically gonna take over most of those human jobs. And that's gonna happen with Amazon everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the warehouses that were built here during COVID are empty.
And so what's the punchline? You said they
So-
brought in workers?
Well, so he said, is there a red flag? Can you see if you're gonna lose your job? Like Josh lost his job, these workers in Tallahassee in that warehouse will lose their jobs because they're automating everything. So what they're doing today, they're picking this up, they're putting it here, putting it over there. That robot comes over, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Amazon warehouse, but the bot comes over, puts it in bin B, puts this in bin A. You know, they're replacing humans.
It's a type of vocational obsolescence. It's a little messed up because the way technology is and where it's going. It's like you said, you can kind of see the handwriting on the wall real early. Why would you build a facility that needs people in the middle of nowhere? Right, because they already know that they're working towards that elimination point, much like with Uber and Lyft. Those companies, you're talking about companies that are not I mean, they have a lot of revenue, but that doesn't mean they're really profitable. And when you have all these quote unquote, this is for the people that aren't able to see this on Zoom, air quoting this. You've got all these, people that have these problems with people and staff. Oh, we have to, these drivers, are they 1099 contractors? Are they employees? If they're employees, do we have to pay this? Do we have to cover that? Insurance and all these things. Right. You eliminate that entire conversation by just saying, hey, we've got automated cars now. We don't need drivers at all. It's still going to be Uber. It's still going to be Lyft. It'll still run off that app. People still have the normal, customer experience. It's just, we're going to remove the person that was driving. And we still, now our business model is going to make a ton of money, and that's where, and investors get that forward thinking presented to them when they're like, hey, put somebody in this company, keep it coming in. Yeah, we just got to get to this point. The laws are changing. The tech is, getting there. And yeah, we've already got some driverless, cars on the road and blah, blah. And we've got this test market over here, and we're going to start doing that. And that's where people are all in, because once you can 10x, 100x, whatever, based off everything, oh, we've got robots doing all the work, right?
By the way, just to piggyback on what he's saying, it is, you can actually look at the market and see where there's gonna be a crash. Because if you eliminate, you're gonna get self-driving cars. Tesla, by the end of the year, will have self-driving cars. You don't need Uber, you don't need Lyft. So it's actually terrible because that means less insurance because they don't have access. Very interesting. If you had a group, you could actually, you've had these motley fool where people get together and you can actually see the trends and where to short. You actually know where to show it. Not rocket science. It's actually scary. I can tell you when you see there's going to be a quantum shift. Everything's going to bots. Well, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you know, most of the greatest people that invest are the insurance companies. They have a lot of good cash cows. Well, wait a minute. You don't need insurance anymore, right? You don't have a lot of that, personal injury. You don't have access. I mean, it's going to gut a whole market.
Interesting.
It's going to happen, and it's going to happen so quick. In the blink of an eye, you're going to have AI.
Just real quick, I wanted to see, so what would you recommend for somebody who wanted to capitalize on the Amazon market? Would you recommend the Amazon affiliate program? I mean, would that be something where somebody just takes a product that's being sold by Amazon on Amazon, and then they use their website to promote it and use a link, and then they get a percentage of every product sold through their link? Or like do an Amazon review, or sell their own products through Amazon? What do you see in the future for that? For people who want to capitalize?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, Amazon is, they have built a monopoly. We've watched them carefully, thinking somebody would compete. Walmart's tried, that's pitiful. Might as well just say it. I don't see anybody else that's up and has built the infrastructure. They're so far ahead of people in what they've done or what they're doing.
Can't catch up.
I don't think anybody can catch up, and it's so completely convenient. And I will say that sometimes I get mad at Amazon, but my gosh, I order something, it's in my front door the next day. It's beautiful. It saves me time, it saves me money. I don't like to go to the store and shop, so it's lovely.
Yeah, it is.
You can, to address your question, I think it has to be what you're interested in. If you have a product, that's one thing. If you're not a developer or publisher, you don't have a product and you want to sell someone else's, that's a good market. You could do it as an affiliate on Amazon, and you can also do it as an affiliate on a lot of other sites. And you can be an affiliate of a myriad of companies and products that you could represent and get a cut of the sales if you sell it on Amazon or if you sell it on another channel. So I think you look into, I would do my research and find out who is making the most money doing what. If you're looking to, have a successful, lucrative business, that's what I would do. Amazon pays you on time, they're organized, they mess up. I mean, you've got to watch what they're up to, but it would be an excellent place to launch a business. Sure. So I think the last one I have, the last slide, is the what's confused, which I think is the hardest thing. And that's a lot of what we've talked about, the insurance, the self-driving cars, things going. It's the big question mark. It's clear what's right, it's clear what's wrong, but in the middle, it is not always clear and it's hard to sort it out. So I have an example of something I'm dealing with right now for a client. There's a brand that they are selling, distributing for someone else, and they're making a lot of money on that brand. It would be like your app, something like that. Things are going really well. And all of a sudden, the publisher said, not so sure, kind of on the fence about whether or not we're going to continue to let you distribute that for us for a couple of different reasons. So now that becomes, it used to be really right, it's rocking and rolling and bringing in all kinds of revenue. Now it's, and they're confused. It's not wrong, but it's confused because in going into 2025, is that going away? And if it is, what do you do? So now you got to have your backup plan and you got to work out the confusion. And so I think it's a perfect example. I'm literally working on that project right now and looking at options. You know, one option is find another similar product
Replace.
and negotiate, make a deal with that. So that's one of my options. Another option is, well, we could replicate a similar product and launch it to market, but it's going to take longer. So those are the two options. The other one is to keep it, and we're trying to, that's what we're working really hard on, but we don't know how it's gonna go.
The matrix, create a matrix.
I can tell you that if you wanted to replicate anything digitally, if before COVID, after COVID, it's 10 times more expensive. 1, 2, it will take a lot longer, and the good players are already working so much. So if you're going to replicate something digitally, I would take a double look at that. It could be costly.
Well, we actually have the people, the R&D in place to do it. And it's a simple product. It's very simple. So it still will take time. But anyway, it's more of an option because the costs and its resources already exist. So they could they have a go-to, yeah. So it's possible.
So, and I'm sorry to go back a little bit on the finances, but I didn't get a chance to ask this earlier. One of the things that my nonprofit is struggling with is we're a private nonprofit, fortunately. Which means that getting grant money, getting stuff like that is not as simple because of the IRS regulation. How would we go about, or is there a path to go about to getting somebody, kind of like what I asked earlier about the finances, but to be able to have somebody like LegalWise be able to help us do that application process to the IRS to be able to change from private to public. Because if we're at public, then we have an open door to get a lot more grants, and the IRS obviously wants $550 as well to do that.
I would think about asking, when's the real tax deadline? Who knows when they extend
June
it?
15th.
June 15th. I would wait until about July 1st, and then I would call Sue Warden and ask her.
So,
I would call her. She's a CPA, or PhD in accounting. She did my return this year. She does Carlos's return.
she's good.
I would ask her. And she would tell you. She could tell you more in 5 to 8 minutes than anybody probably in the room. She would be totally dialed in. And she actually knows how to call the IRS and they talk to her. How about that? Anybody else have anything they want to share before we finish? I think that was my last slide. That's the end of it.
Awesome stuff. So we will be getting a copy of the slideshow, yes, Susan, so we can put that on the website.
Awesome.
Right, so for anybody who didn't have a chance to take notes, or for the folks at home, this will be accessible through the website, bizforchrist.com. That's BIZ, the number 4 Christ.com. And there's a drop menu selection for access to our presentations through our publicly available Google Drive. You'll be able to download this and They'll have, because I know sometimes it's a little hard to see, for the folks at home that are watching all this to always see what's on the screen. So definitely download it and access it there. So we are going to close out here in a word of prayer, and then I think there might be some leftovers back there. Definitely, if you guys haven't had a chance to dig into all the wonderful food that was brought today, please do so we don't have as much to try to transport and that kind of thing. So
Who's speaking next week?
oh God, thank you. So that's me. So, real quick, I figured we'd take a little break from the AI stuff for a moment and.
Yay!
Oh, come on, I never even did this presentation. We had a great town hall discussion about that. I love it. You guys are great. You have a lot of questions. It's awesome. But we'll have to like pick up on that a little later. What I do want to go into next week are top mistakes when it comes to SEO that a lot of people are doing. This is very obviously specific to search engine optimization, one of the core competencies of what ICE does. But ultimately, whether you are doing it, trying to do it, did it in the past, have some idea about what SEO is, how it's going to help your business, what you're doing, and this is good information to have. I do have a number of them. We'll see how many of them we get through. I'm going to try to kind of just gun through them and let you guys see just the concepts in general. But they are big mistakes, like the big do nots.
So that's the class next week.
That's the presentation next week.
And you're giving it.
I am giving it, yes, me, myself, and I.
Check.
Yes, so it's hopefully something that you guys will appreciate, and then, take it to either the people you're working with or come up with some additional questions from me, and I'll be happy to answer them. But yes, next week, top SEO mistakes not to make, and there'll definitely be more, like I said, AI stuff later. So, so with that being said, bow our heads and close out here in prayer, and you have an opportunity to fellowship more so before the second service. So, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together safely, to have an opportunity to fellowship, to network, and more importantly, to glean from the wisdom that Susan had to dispense today. Your word says that for lack of knowledge, your people are destroyed. So, Father, we thank you that you are allowing us to receive more knowledge that we will use to better equip ourselves as we go forward into the marketplace to do your good work. And as we go out there, Father, this week, we ask that you gird us on all sides with your ministering spirits, your angels, your seven spirits, according to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 2, your Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, spirit of wisdom, spirit of knowledge, spirit of power and might, spirit of good counsel, spirit of reverential fear of the Most High God. And we thank you, Father, that by that girding, by that underwriting, we are able to know the right, have the will to choose it, and the strength to make it. In the name of Jesus, we pray.
Amen.
We will see you in another exciting day. The blessings on you.
Thank you, everybody.